Like, love, subscribe. Come on, hit those buttons. Oh, SpaceX was this morning.
Oh, they scrubbed it.
Yeah, I know. We were sitting there anticipating my toast and coffee. Ready to go. We're live on what? On
All right, welcome to the show, Texas Real Estate Mastermind. Robert Orfino, Jason Bible. Here, recapping the market. I think it's exciting. Everyone else is like, thinks the world's going to end. Especially in commercial real estate. And I'm like, that's not really what's going on, guys. But it's going to be interesting nonetheless. I found a table in one of the documents that said something like, of all these loans, it was like a third or a half. At the time they were, the loans were granted, they were 70% LTV or lower. And a whole bunch of them were like 50% LTV. Like, I think ours are 50% LTV.
50 to 65.
Yeah, so it's like,
They were good loans at the time, right?
yeah, they're good loans now.
The Fed just mucking it up.
Yeah, just got to refi them. Some of them are going to have some problems, but most of them aren't. So
I don't know if you saw it on Apple TV. Jon Stewart has a show.
Oh, no.
And he interviewed Larry Summers.
Oh, how did that go?
It was really good.
Yeah.
And he basically saying, he's like, hey, just kind of what we've been talking about for a year now. He's like, hey, your solution, you, the Fed, and being an advisor to the Treasury and all that stuff, your solution is to put millions of Americans out of work.
Right.
That's your solution.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, you know, there is a cost. It's an ugly side effect, but sometimes you got to take the medicine and there's blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay. He said the other way we could have did it was just tax rich people. And they would have slowed down their spending.
Yeah.
He's like, if we tax the rich and we tax corporations, they would have slowed down.
Yeah, you got to less capital invest.
Yes. Less
Which actually
capital to invest.
Which actually would have been easier to do. Or you just, actually, what you'd have to do is tax more Americans because then they'd be buying less cars and houses and all that other stuff. Yeah, absolutely do that.
You should have did probably both sides of the spectrum.
Well, so here's the third thing no one else is talking about, because this is the literal third rail of politics. Stop giving stuff away.
Yeah, no, we don't want to do that.
We got to turn the spending off. And Republicans are just as guilty. This whole like we're conservative is nonsense. What did I hear the other day?
How many federal dollars come to Texas for our energy industry?
What was the Crenshaw said something, and I'm like, my God, this guy is going to be in the Senate. He may have a shot at the presidential campaign at some point. I'm like, this guy ain't conservative. Like it doesn't matter. But anyway, so it's like,
no, he's not a conservative. He went to Brandeis, for God's sake.
yeah, I know, right?
Come on.
Like, yeah, it's, you know.
It was either this or he was going to be an actor. I mean, what are we talking about, right?
So
I just Cambridge.
I know it's so funny. It's like it's kind of like the Bushes were super conservative. I'm like, no,
not really.
No, don't think so either. You guys missed that one too.
They spun it well though.
They sure did. Yeah, I'm from Texas. No, not really. You moved here for your dad's big energy company. What happened? So anyway, I don't know where you got that accent from, because
private compound in Maine, right? On the beach.
That's a weird accent for a guy from Maine. But I don't.
So what he said was, hey, this is a problem, right? And Summers said, we gave away a lot of money, and we caused this. We understand we caused it, but we just didn't want people coming out of their houses.
Right.
Right? So we all understand how this happened, right? And then he just said, well, why wouldn't you have taxed the rich? Why wouldn't we just add a temporary 10-year tax to corporations? You would have slowed it down that way. And he's like, Larry Summers like, no, we wouldn't do that.
Yeah, no one's going to be on for that. Right?
No, we're not going to do that. So we're going to affect the working man. So a little good old fashioned populace.
Well, there's another argument here that I think, because Americans are so myopic when it's incredibly selfish when it comes to this stuff.
Of course,
we have one of the lowest rates of inflation compared to the rest of the world.
Yeah, we're causing it.
That's exactly right. We export inflation.
So yes.
And the problem is the dollar's too strong.
Yes, we're causing it.
I would make the opposite argument. Here's what we do. How do we make the dollar weaker? We actually print more dollars. I think that's absolutely how we do it. I don't believe for 2 freaking seconds that inflation right now is the cause of money supply.
Can you print more dollars to pay down your own debt?
You sure can. You absolutely can.
So you can weaken the dollar to pay down. Let's just say we put another $1 trillion into the world economy.
Right.
We can do that by paying back the folks that own our notes.
Yeah. It's a net. How's that?
Someone's going to get $1 trillion.
On balance, yeah, it doesn't really. I don't think it really moves the needle much. Whether you own it in dollars or you own it in debt-denominated asset, it doesn't really move the needle much. But what the easier way to do it would have been to walk in and say, okay, we're not going to lower interest rates. What they could have done, I think a better tax would have been a really high tariff tax, because most of our goods are imported. Yeah. We're having massive problems on it. We're having massive supply issues. That's one way to do it. Here's a better way to do it. Here's a better way to how do you soak up the money supply in an economy?
Right.
But again, here's the way I look at it. Inflation's way worse everywhere else. We need to bring the value of the dollar down. And that's actually the bigger issue here. In fact, it's funny. I started having this conversation with a couple buddies of mine, and Logan started talking about it today. He's like, one of the things I've said, dollar's too strong.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's causing all sorts of other issues that are way worse than inflation. So I would argue maybe we need to bring that dollar down a little bit.
My argument is just forget everything prior to 2021, and these are the new numbers.
These are the new numbers.
Deal with it.
And what you know about real estate before 2010 doesn't matter anymore.
Doesn't matter, yep.
I heard a great report today where they basically said, before 2010, folks were staying in their house 3 to 7 years. Now it's 11 to 13 years, and in submarkets, it's 18 years. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And then he said, let me explain why. Starting in 2010, said before 2010, about 2000, the median-sized house was about 1,400 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
Starting in 2010, the median-sized house is 2,800 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
So you buy a house, you don't have to move because it fits your family already. So that's one of the reasons why folks are staying put. So it doesn't really.
And it's 3.5% refi.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly fine staying in my big ass house with my pool.
Right, starting in 2010, right? And so this whole idea of Jason, you understand, back in 2007, I'm like, dude, you may as well have been talking about real estate in Argentina. Like,
yeah,
for
sure.
It doesn't even matter anymore.
Argentina, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, it doesn't even matter anymore. It's so irrelevant. So
what I think what's happened is we're Americans. People forget this. You can rail against the millennials, right? Oh, they don't want to work. Da da da. It's like no, they went out there and they hustled up. Like we're just making more money now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We're dealing with inflation by just okay. We have to go back to work. Well, I'm not going to go back to work in a traditional sense where I'm going to sling a burger at McDonald's.
Yeah,
I'm going to go do some hustles.
Or what they'll say is, hey, we need to hire accountants for $85,000. I can't work here for anything less than 120.
Right.
And they're like, well, you're not going to work here. Okay.
Okay. Right.
I'll go find another place.
Yeah,
right.
3 weeks later, hey, would you do it for 100?
No, 120, and I got an
120,
offer,
and I need to be home 3 days a week.
Yeah, and I got an offer right now at 115, and I'm not even taking that. It's what are you going to do?
Yep.
So the labor market has gotten so specialized that it's like you really don't have a choice.
Right.
So no one has made the argument, convinced me of the argument, how much inflation is simply the supply side from COVID.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the vast majority of it. I really do. When we look at prices, it's just gotten absolutely out of control.
Well, we're going to talk more about this and the real estate market when we come back from the break. Hey, we got a 3-day event coming up here on Friday, so you absolutely got to come check it out. Go to mrtxrei.com, mrtxrei.com. And I will say this because I started thinking about it yesterday. We have figured out what works. We've been doing it for 4 years, and the people that are massively successful, we can show you that blueprint. So you want to come on this 3-day, mrtxrei.com. We'll be back. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert with the Texas Real Estate Mastermind Hour. Jason and I. Just I was thinking about that yesterday. We now have a good enough sample size. Mm-hmm. It was about 92 people joined.
Yeah.
And 74 people stayed.
Yes.
So we have a pretty good, about a little over 80% capture rate there.
Yeah, 80%.
80% capture rate. So that's good. And then of that 80%, there's about 20 people who have done really, really well.
Yeah.
And I said, well, how did they do really, really well? Even at different levels. Like Juan, who is isn't floating a lot of cash
Yeah.
is on his 6th and 8th door.
Yeah.
How did he do it, right?
In has he been in
3 years?
3 years? Okay.
Jeff, it's like, how did he get to 41? It's like, there is a pattern here.
Yeah.
And we can just show people how to do that. Mm-hmm. It's really that simple. So we're going to change up Friday night a little bit and continue on with Saturday. And then Sunday, I will do a little good wrap-up. So it's a 3-day event, MRTXREI. We figured out the formula.
I think you can go through the disc profile on that Friday night, and then you can go, all right, now that you know yourself, let me show you who the most successful people in this group are.
You bet.
And you put that profile together and go, whatever you're missing here, you damn well better find.
Yep.
Because it has nothing to do with real estate. It's got nothing to do with, am I getting the right program? I'm getting the right backpack with the right information. Am I getting the right
How many
secret?
videos do you have?
Yeah, how many
Don't worry about
videos?
that.
No, it's this right here.
Yep.
You're missing this somewhere in your personality profile, and if you don't pick that up, you ain't gonna make it.
Yep.
It's that simple. And I would argue it's just number one is you just got to go do stuff. You got to go do the right stuff, but you've just got to
Action
go.
takers.
You just gotta go.
Action takers. Yep.
It's like I'm back in the gym again, and there's still some of those New Year's folks that are in there, and I could tell
for them.
Yeah, they're sitting there, and they're on the phone trying to figure out exactly like this thing here. And I'm like, just pick up the weight,
Yeah. Push
put
it
it
up
over your head, push it up, put it over your head, put it down,
or pedal
or
run,
pedal,
whatever you got to do.
Well,
Yep.
that's all you got to do. It's just, it doesn't matter if you do 6 reps or 12 at this stage. It does not matter. Just pick it up,
Excited to get
put
back.
it down. If it feels too light, pick up the heavier one. Pick it up, put it down. Very simple.
We figured out the formula, guys. You need to come to the 3-day, mrtxrei.com. Come on out. We've got some excellent stuff to talk to you about. And if you're really serious about working in real estate, getting your real estate portfolio together, making massive returns, and paying very little in taxes, then we've got a program for you. mrtxrei.com. So anyway, back to it. It's, Americans do what Americans do. They problem solve.
Yeah.
And the problem is I don't have enough money. Well, I got to go get better jobs.
We're going to make some more money.
Go make more money. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty simple.
And everyone's angry that they're not getting laid off. Like the Fed is ticked off that unemployment is at like all-time low, right?
Yeah, it's like, well, why aren't they? Well, and what's funny is, here's what I don't understand about that. We are I don't even think we're there yet. We're pretty close to where we would have been employment-wise if COVID never happened.
Yeah, pretty close.
So,
We might even exceeded it in some categories, maybe not like construction.
But it's taken 3 years for us to catch up.
For sure.
In fact, I have a fascinating. I'm now following a bunch of guys on Twitter. The construction labor piece is really interesting. So, anyways, I can pull some of that data out. But
I'm living it.
what's interesting is we actually built more houses back in the mid 2000s with less labor than we have now. Mm-hmm. Really interesting. So, in any case, I think at some point you just make a decision. Well, I got to make more money. Well, I mean, you got to take this job. No, actually, I don't. Mm-hmm. I got to take this job if I need 4 vacations a year, a new BMW, a bigger house. But I really don't. We really don't need that. So, if it's not the optimal situation, I think that's what's pissing the Fed off so much is, labor has never had a more equal footing.
Uh-oh.
I mean, it's true.
Yes, comrade.
Well, but it's not unionizing because that doesn't work.
No, well, to a certain extent, we have healthcare now.
Yeah,
we should be okay.
Sort of. Yeah, healthcare in quotes. But
if you lose your finger, you can get to go to the hospital. And you don't have to pay for it yourself, right? On the job site, right?
On the job site, all right. Yep. Yeah. But in any case, so at some point.
We're not putting 9-year-olds to work in a factory, right?
What's wrong with that? I'd put my 9-year-old to work in a factory.
I think unions have had a good role, but I think, hey, we're okay.
Well, it's like anything. It's like it starts to get to the extreme. It's like this whole Bud Light fiasco. It was like, boy, we took that to 11 overnight. And it's like, where is the I have this conversation with a lot of folks. Where is the line? There's got to be a line somewhere where it's like, now we're crossing a line. There's got to be a line somewhere. Well, there was a fascinating article on Zero Hedge, and it's like, look, you guys can go do whatever you want, but now we're introducing some of these things to the school system, and it's like, there's got to be a line here where it's like, this is really not
I don't know what
appropriate.
we're talking about.
Well,
what topic? Are we talking about trans? Are we
we're talking about all that. Yeah,
okay.
all that
All
stuff.
right. Yeah.
There's got to be a line somewhere. Does it have to be on your beer can? Now, I don't drink Bud Light, but I find the whole thing actually kind of funny. The back and forth I'm seeing, the rumor mill is leaking out of the executive office up there at MBev, and they're like, we never approved this. Who approved this?
They've already identified the guys who are taking the fall.
Yeah.
It's a woman and a guy. They're both taking the hit.
And it's like, who approved any? I'm like, come on, guys. Like, you didn't know. Nothing. Nobody
What?
puts
What was that?
What is good?
My house is pink? What happened?
What happened here?
What happened?
Like, do you think the deal they have with the NFL to put the Texans logo on a Bud Light can just kind of happens without them knowing? I mean, come on. So there's part of this that's pretty funny, but there's some line in the sand here.
I will tell you the greatest thing I saw about that.
What's that?
Someone said, if you're complaining about, I don't even know what her name is.
It's not her. In fact, she's horrible.
Whatever. Mulroney.
Yeah.
On the beer can, on your Bud Light can.
Yeah.
Your bigger problem is that you drink Bud Light.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
that's your problem, brother.
My favorite meme out there is it shows the Bud Light can with the Dallas Cowboys star on it, and it said, "Guys, this was a sign." I love it. I told that to a Cowboys guy on Friday. He was like, "Yeah, I saw that one. I didn't think it was real funny." Well, it's that is a classic example of you guys have no idea who your target market is.
They have no idea, right?
So that I've read a profile on the marketing gal who approved that, and just we're
trying to get away from the frat boy image. And then they showed up pictures of her drunk at a frat party.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
great.
Oh, it's great.
Horrible. It's like, you got to just shut up.
It's great. Know your brand. Know your audience. Look, I guess my argument is
our audience is who wants to get drunk cheap.
Yeah.
Right? That's it.
What do you use for beer pong? I'm not going to St. Arnold's and putting
we're not doing that.
Art car in there. Like, come on. This is crazy. So, well, and then I always like to ask, like, well, what market were you really trying to get? Would that really move the needle, guys?
No.
To pay for that? Like, it doesn't make any, or it comes down to that. It's the old Coca-Cola thing. Like, you've got so much money for marketing, you have no idea where to put it.
I will tell you what. I think that campaign has been massively successful for the person who thought of it. Because the person who thought of it was only thinking about clicks and likes and views. You don't take that person and put them on a beer can if you're not thinking about views.
Well,
right?
If this is the Trump syndrome, the opposite.
I think that's what it was. I don't think anyone thought above that other than we're going to get a lot of views.
Yeah, we're going to get a lot of attention
views,
here.
Right? This is you hired me to get views. I'm going to get your views, right?
Yeah. Oh, you got it all right.
Hey, you hired me to get rid of the dog crap in your backyard. You didn't tell me I shouldn't put it in your neighbor's yard, right?
I'm like,
the neighbor's knocking on your door complaining. It's like, I did exactly what you told me to do. Get rid of it.
Yep. Yes. But you would hope with somebody with her academic pedigree would have been a little bit sharper than that.
Nope. We already know that everyone, to a certain extent, is a dumbass, right? Yeah. So we just get it, and they get locked into their micro worlds. Anyway, we're having fun here. Go check out our website. We got a couple great events coming up this week. Small Apartments is a big one coming up, so we definitely want to see you there. I got a couple webinars going out. Go to mrtxre.com, mrtxre.com, and make sure you come to us on Friday for the big 3-day event. Welcome back, everyone. This is Robert with the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Mastermind Hour.
Yeah, there's got to be. It's kind of like the whole labor discussion. At some point, there's got to be like, all right, guys, now we're just getting a little extreme here. But it's similar to this market conversation keep happening. They're like, Jason, understand, all this debt comes due in 2023, 4 and 5. I'm like, okay. Mm-hmm. Well, then there's going to be a crash. And it's like, whoa, let's back way up. How much of this is agency versus non-agency debt? So in other words, how much is backed by the federal government? Answer, a lot of it. So since they've already proven this for the last 10 years, they're just going to print. They're going to print the money. They're going to say, oh, well, we'll extend the loans. We'll pay them off. We'll do something, right? So the conversation I've had with a lot of guys this weekend was, do you think the federal government is going to step in and back all the non-agency CMBSs? And I think that's actually what's going to end up happening.
But here's the thing, right? Wherever there is a a crisis, there is an opportunity. So here's what you and I both know about the lending world.
Mm-hmm.
There is a 10 to 12% spread on this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So if I can just figure out a way to refi it, that's a lot of money to be made, right?
Oh, yeah.
So these guys aren't figuring out how to avoid foreclosure. They're figuring out, how do I get the refis done?
Yeah, how do I get these
How do I
guys
get
loans?
to roll this out for another 5 years
Yeah.
and make my 3 points on the front end, my 3 points on the back end, my 2 points of servicing over the lifetime of the loan, right?
Well, they just Wells just rolled out just the servicing rights for $50 billion, like the $50 billion portfolio, and that they said it's already going to close by the end of the year. So my guess is you're right. They're going to end up walking in and saying, "All right, look, it's going to be somebody big like BlackRock. Look, here's the deal."
They did it today. They raised $50 billion.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the one I
$50 billion,
posted.
right,
Yeah, I
yeah.
posted. I'm like, here's what we're going to do, boys. We will refinance all this stuff.
Sure.
But, Mr. Government, you got to guarantee 50% loan to
Right.
value. And they're like, okay, cool. We're as long as you keep us in office,
That's
and there's
excellent.
not a
And
collapse.
then they can go to the bank and say, now we want 70% loan
That's
to
right.
value. So my $50 billion now is worth, $250 billion.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so what do we really have exposed here? The first 25 of the loan, first 25% of LTV,
And the
nothing.
$50 billion that I raised from private investors, right?
So I got
none
I'm
of my
making-
money.
None of my money, and I'm making a huge spread on
Right,
all
I'm
this
going to do
stuff.
$250 billion in commercial real estate transactions
Yep.
and make 6% on it.
Right.
Yep.
In this year,
Yeah, in a
next
3-year
year,
period.
and
Yep.
25.
Yep.
So everybody running around thinking that everyone's going to go to foreclosure,
Nope.
these banks are going to lose a bunch of
Nope.
money. No, the banks have been through that.
They're going to do
not
their
doing
first
that again.
tranche successfully, and they're going to be raising money like that.
Yeah, and they're
Wait,
just
can
gonna-
we give you more?
Yeah. This is what it'll be. It'll be a Saturday afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get some notice on your phone. Oh my God, big banking crisis, some commercial real estate. By Sunday afternoon, Powell and Janet Yellen will be doing a joint press conference, setting up some kind of credit lending, something other facility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
With
these-
Warren Buffett, right?
Yeah, with Warren, a bunch of other guys who go, and Warren can sit up there.
Some
and
Saudi
goes,
prince.
yeah, he's like, guys, I think this is kind of crazy. We're just going to help these, little investors
talking
out.
about putting people
We're just
out of
trying to
work.
refinance the ice cream shop on Main Street. And you're like, that's BS. That's
Yeah,
not what this
Warren.
is. This is a $300 million building in downtown Houston. We're just trying to help out the little guy here. So let's get some money together. we got Powell up here. We got Yellen. We're going to get this all figured out. And all the while, these guys are going to make 6 to 10% on $100-something billion in the next couple of years. That's exactly what's going to happen.
So, right, part of that, hey, we figured it out, is when folks finally start working with us, they stop talking like they're making $15 an hour, right? Where they're not worried about all these things. They're like, hey, here's what's going to happen with all this. The rich are going to get richer, and the consumer, the average person, is going to carry a lot of the burden,
Yeah.
right? So stop being the average person.
Right.
That's the solution.
Yeah.
Instead, they want to solve the problems of the world. It's like, you know what I want to do? I just want my $5 million free and clear.
Yeah. So let me put this as simply as I can. You, the taxpayer,
Yes,
are going to bail out again the rich commercial real estate guy,
that's right.
and you're going to have a smile on your face the entire time you do it. So you got two choices in this life. You can be the rich commercial real estate guy, or you can be the taxpayer that bails him out. It's really that simple. Jason, that's not fair.
That is excellent.
I'm going to vote for Trump,
Yeah.
and he's going to change it. No, he's not.
Man of the people.
He's not going to change it. Nobody's changing this system. No one's changing anything. I don't care who you vote for.
Right.
No one's changing anything. You can vote for AOC.
Yeah.
You can have Trump in. This is the system in which we're operating in.
That's right.
The world can't afford a loss. So guess what? You can either be the guy that owns the building that's going to sweat a little bit, that goes, I don't know how we're going to refi this thing. And, oh, here we go. Sunday night, you're going to be sitting there at dinner with your family. And all of a sudden, there's this new lending facility, and you're going to get a text message from your mortgage broker, commercial mortgage broker, that night. Hey, man, got a solution, this new thing.
Anything coming
We've
out.
already.
Fed
weird,
agreed.
Weird. They already have an online
I'm hearing
portal.
that the Fed already agreed.
Yeah.
Online portal.
They already have an online portal, and I've submitted our entire loan package. We should hear something back by Wednesday.
Here-
You're like, meanwhile, you've been working the last 6 months on how to refi this thing.
Here's the problem. That is an excellent observation, right? So just be part of the other side of it, because if you are expecting real change, you are not going to like the way that looks.
Oh, that's true.
That is not anything.
Yeah.
You don't want you or your children or your family involved in any of that. It is disastrous, right? It is a long, protracted problem that we don't want to see. So go do what you have to do to protect your family.
I will tell
I'm
you
not
this.
talking about burying 70,000 rounds of bullets in, in East Texas.
We're not talking about that. I will tell you what, I learned something during COVID that I didn't want to know was true. And one day I went out, I don't know, it's one of these date things, and went to a bar in town. And there was a line out the door, and I had one of the cars from the car club. I can't remember what I had. Lambo, Ferrari, something loud and flashy. And I pulled up, and we got out, and the line is literally around the door. I'm like, I'm not standing in this line. And I walked up. They didn't even stop me to card me.
Yep.
I walked in. The police just looked at me like, because they always have like a officer standing aside, and they got the guys working the door. I just walked in, and they just like, hey, man. I was like, hey, what's up? I just kept going. Yep. Like I belong there. No one else. You can't do that if you're pulling up in a Yugo or standing in that stupid line. And I thought, this is it. This is how the rest of the world works. Do you think?
Yes, of course.
Do you think Blackstone is really sweating that REIT that they're not, that they had to file a default on? Like they're in default, their creditors are coming after them, and they're like, nah, we'll tie this thing up in court for God knows how long, and by then, these assets will have already stabilized, we'll be able to turn around, be able to refinance, whatever it is. It's like you could play the game at the stand in line at the, like the grocery store, or you can live a completely different world. Now, Jason, that's not fair. I'm like, okay, well, you can go try and change it. Right. Good luck.
Well, that's those guys like, Jason, let me show you. I started with just 2 Bitcoins, right?
Yeah.
And now I've got 15 Bitcoins, right?
Great.
I mean, this is the future, right? I'm like, no, no.
Nobody cares about your Bitcoin,
That's
dude.
not, you're missing the point, but that's okay because you're still thinking like you're a $15 an hour worker.
Yeah.
Right? Like somehow you figured out a way to hack the system, get into the system.
Well, and here's what I would argue. Here's the other major middle class falsehood. It is not the money. Like, you just because you are wealthy means nothing in this country anymore. You've got to own the actual assets.
It is the asset.
When you own a bunch of real estate, when you own a bunch of companies, why do you think Elon can pop off at the SEC and the president, for God's sakes? He could say whatever he wants. He probably does. He could have dirt on Hillary Clinton. He's not getting suicided anytime soon.
Not at all.
Although he does joke about sometimes I see these red dots.
I will
on
never
my shirt.
take my life. Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, he said, I will never commit suicide. Just letting everybody know that right now. Why? Because he owns these incredibly important companies.
You have to own the asset, guys.
You have got to actually own it. That's why I'm like, notes are garbage. Like, owning a bunch of Bitcoin's worthless. Owning a bunch of worthless stocks. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, if you really want to own stuff, you actually own the assets.
Yep. Hey, guys, hang tight. We'll be back.
Texas Real Estate Mastermind. I was going to say Texas Portfolio Builders Club. I don't know.
Coming soon next month.
Coming soon next month.
But that's the thing. It's like, well, it's the future, man. This is the way banking is going to get done. You don't understand. We're going to get rid of the dollar and all that stuff. And I'm like, that world that you're asking for, maybe it happens, but it's preceded by something you don't want to go through.
Well, I'll give you a great example of that. I had some Bitcoin guy jumping in my grill one of these times when Bitcoin hit $30,000, and I said, they were like, you're going to replace this as a reserve currency. I said, no, they're not. No. And I said, and he goes, well, why is that? And I was like, oh, I'm glad you're actually asking a question instead of making stuff up. There was some country, I can't remember, Colombia somewhere, some postage stamp size Latin American country that wanted to start backing their currency with crypto.
South American, yeah.
I can't remember who it was.
Yep.
So they did a study. A couple of sharp guys did a study and said, here's the problem. They can't even use it because there's not enough transactions in all of the world for Bitcoin to support using it as a currency for them. So I'm like, you don't understand. This thing is way too small.
Yeah.
Like there's just not enough.
Then none of Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's no, you could do fractional. I'm like, but there's not enough trading. Like there's not enough transactions. So when everyone starts talking about the reserve currency and the dollar's going to get replaced, I'm like, how about this? You go out and research what's the second closest reserve currency in the United States. And here's the problem. There is not enough of it. So I'm like, you can't just make up a currency and then print a whole bunch of it and say, all right, guys, we're going to trade in this. Like, that's not how that works. So everyone's all worried about it's so funny. Everybody gets worried about these huge macro issues that they really don't understand. And then when I have a conversation with them, I'm like, okay, so what happens if inflation goes up another 15% next year? Are you getting a raise at work? No. Okay. How much real estate do you own? None.
Right.
I own 3 houses. You might want to get on that.
Yep.
Because I don't care if inflation goes to 9,000% or you're paying me in Bitcoin or bananas or sacks of potatoes. I own the house you live in. I own the building you go to work in.
Yep.
So it's up to you what you do with your life. All I know is I'm not fighting the system anymore.
No.
I'm just not doing it.
No. And I will say that you and I come from very different backgrounds. I'm happy to tell you that I've been a liberal Democrat all my life, right? In case you haven't figured it out, right?
Yeah.
So, but I am also looking at it and saying, forget it.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting that battle.
No.
This is where I want to be. Give me $5 million in assets and let me go enjoy my life, right?
Yeah.
The country allowed me to do that.
Or it's great. Hey, how much, they're at $30 million in net worth is where ultra wealth starts. Yeah. Top 1% starts.
I'm not even sure I'm going to get there, and I don't need to.
But like, well, Jason, should you get involved in politics? Yeah, they can host the dinner at my house.
That's right.
I'll write a check.
That's right.
Just so when I call up there, somebody will answer my phone call.
Yep.
But I have no interest in this other stuff. Fighting the good fight for the man. Like, it's not going to change. So why fight it? I'm watching this deal. So I'm a part of a couple of neighborhood pages right now. Mm-hmm. And there's this one neighborhood. They are screaming their heads off. Master plan community. That they only have one entrance, one exit. It takes 30 minutes to get from the back of the neighborhood to the front. And so I just posted, move.
Right.
No, we're going to put together a committee and we're going to try and get more roads built.
No, you should
I'm
just
like,
move.
Do you realize how long the planning takes for that?
Right.
If this is that bad for your family, sell your house, buy the other one at the front of the neighborhood. Problem solved. Save 30 minutes. No, it's an hour a day. Save an hour a day. What's an hour a day worth to you? Right. They're like, you don't understand. I'm like, oh, I understand perfectly well. Right. You're willing to fight over this issue you have zero control over. When today, you and your family can make a decision, hey, honey, we're buying something to the front of the neighborhood in front of this street. Find the house you want.
Yep.
Because I'm not doing it anymore. So, yeah, I don't get it. Just people, it's Jim Rohn used to say it. People major in minor things.
Yeah, for sure.
You going to whine about the traffic? Just buy a house somewhere else. Mm-hmm. No, I want to get on the traffic committee. I'm like, I have zero interest in getting on the traffic committee. I have 100% interest in the Jason Getting Rich committee. That's the only committee I'm a part of.
Well, we're going to tax you, Jason. It's like, well,
yeah, okay.
That's why I'm in Texas.
Great.
I'm here.
Tax me all you want.
Yep.
I'll be here. We've been really enjoying this weather, by the way. I'm like, man, this is California weather here.
This is 10 days. My goodness.
Yeah. I would love to be there 179 days.
Got my plants, my tomato plants.
Until they get microwaved in June.
Yeah, that's okay.
But anyways, it's funny. You go to California 179 days of a year. The rest of you come here or Mexico or wherever. So, yeah, I just don't, I'll sit there and listen to these guys and they just complain about this. And I'm like, how much control do you have over any of that? Zero. Well, how about this? Why don't you go start buying some real estate? Mm-hmm. And pretty soon after 5 or 10 years, you're going to look back and go, thank God I did all that. Now I can buy a place in Mexico and I can do this over here.
Again, part of that formula is the people that have succeeded are not having the same conversations they had 4 years ago. But unfortunately, if you're listening to this and you haven't done real estate and you're still trying to figure out how to get financially free, more than likely you're still having the same conversations in your life. Still.
Yeah. Maybe we need to define financially free. Your boss tells you where to go, and you don't have a choice. Like I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Real wealth is choice, period. That's all it is.
Options, you bet.
It's not G7s and a Lambo and all that nonsense.
It's the option. I can choose a G7 or a Lambo or not.
Yeah. Or I can rent them.
And
then when you wreck one, like what happened at our club last week, and you go, ooh, here you go. Here's the keys. It's kind of driving a little funny.
Wrecked one. Which one did they wreck?
The Portofino.
Ooh, that's one I like.
Brand new one. Yeah. I don't know. Single vehicle accident. They said they're putting it back together, but it's not total. Wasn't me, if anybody's asking. Wasn't Brian either.
Wasn't me.
So anyway, sounds like somebody didn't have the traction control on, but it's, you have the option to just get up and go. I just, like I said, I see.
Yeah, let's all stop trying to think that we're union workers, right?
Yeah.
Let's just stop those conversations. Because that's the conversation I hear all the time. Like, oh, God, what are you doing? I mean, I'm sorry your job at Walmart didn't work out for you. Go back to school, get a better education, get a better job.
I don't know what the deal is here. You only got one life. You don't get to take it back. So you may as well start moving forward on something productive. So, and it goes right back to this whole like, well, Jason, the market's going to crash. And I sit there and I go, how much real estate do you own? You got a couple $100,000 in real estate. I'm like, why do you care? You own so little, it doesn't matter.
Right. And this is the thing, too. Because we were watching Animal Kingdom stories on Disney Channel. Anyway, we love Animal Kingdom. And the sea turtles. And it was like, hey, it's Saturday morning. We have a big crowd there. And I'm like, oh, I'm a couple years away from retirement. I don't have to worry about Saturday morning. I can go rescue turtles on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. And if I want to go on Saturday and Sunday, I'll go.
No, you walk in Saturday and Sunday and go, there's too many people here. And turn back around, leave.
Like, yeah, right. So I was like, oh, man, you don't understand. It's not all about money. You're right. It's not about money. It's about options.
Yeah.
It's about choices.
Yep.
Right? So opportunity. Oh, yeah, I want to go help some sea turtles.
There's a reason I fly into Playa del Carmen on Wednesday. Flying when nobody's there.
There's a reason we fly into Disney World on Sunday night.
Yeah. Right? Everyone's going the other
direction.
Everyone's
going the other way. You bet.
Yeah, you fly in and go, oh, this is nice. There's nobody here.
Nobody here.
And they're like, no,
empty.
man, it's always crazy. And I'm like, not when I'm there.
Yeah, it's like we don't ski on President's Day weekend, right?
Oh, yeah, or spring break.
Yeah,
or
no, we don't do any of that.
No, you go when nobody else is there. You're like, oh, this is great. This is fantastic.
However, I did mess up. I booked my trip the first week of May. And May the 4th is the Star Wars Day.
That's right.
At Disney, so it's insanely crowded. Just that one day, though. May the 4th.
Are you going to be back for that special day we're going to have? Okay.
Come back that day before.
I'm trying to keep my mouth shut on that one.
We'll see.
Man, it'd be badass if we can get a picture with him. It would be really, really fun. So we'll see. We got a big day coming up in May, so we'll see if someone's going to sneak us in backstage to a show.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll be out there. Anyway, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. As always, we appreciate it. Start thinking bigger, guys. Like, you don't got to figure this out yourself. There is a pattern here. There is a plan. You guys got to get yourself moving. Come out to our 3-day, mrtxrei.com, mrtxrei.com, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow night.